Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're out for a ride. Nice evening ride. I think it's turning into I think it's going to be getting dark by the time I get home. Just had to pull over. This used to be a nice spot to just kind of look out over the landscape. So I needed to stop and check my cameras. I've been having a hell of a time with my camera setup, and I think that's going to be the topic of today's motovlog. You know, I've got two cameras. I'm pretty sure I talked about this before. But I started out with this DJI Osmo Action. Hello there. And eventually I upgraded to the one that's on my face, which is a GoPro Hero Black with a media mod. Well, I got away from the DJI Osmo Action because there's a firmware issue where you can't adjust the microphone gain. And it's really sensitive. So when I have the mic in my helmet, it's really easy if I start to raise my voice to get clipping and just to blow out the audio. So I was struggling with it. I was constantly reminding myself, talk softly so that you don't screw up the audio. And that's really hard to do when you start moving on a bike. You get wind noise. Naturally, you want to start raising your voice to compensate for the outside noise. Whether or not the mic is picking up that noise is irrelevant because it's what your ears hear. So anyway, I love that Osmo Action camera. It's a workhorse. It works every time I turn it on. The battery is superior to the GoPro. The colors aren't as vibrant. It doesn't have as wide an angle. You know, there are things that are better about the GoPro, but I just like that camera more. Unfortunately, I just don't like the audio, and I can't really get over the audio issues that I'm having with it. So, I decided to go out and I get this GoPro 8 out of frustration. And initially it works great. The audio sounds fantastic. The colors are vibrant. It's got a wider viewing angle, so I'm getting more in my motovlogs. You know, just overall I'm really happy with it. Until it doesn't work. And that's been really frustrating. So there's been one instance where I lost a whole bunch of footage because the camera said there was no SD card in it. There was no media. But there was media. And then when I pulled the battery out, put it back in again, all of a sudden now it recognized the media and would record. So that was kind of frustrating. And since then I've lost, I don't know, probably 5 motovlogs as a result of the camera not picking up the audio. So there's I don't want to say it's a common issue, but there's an issue where the GoPro will sometimes use the wrong microphone and it will use the input from the media mod, which is on the outside of the helmet, instead of the microphone that I have plugged in, which is in front of my face inside the helmet. So, you know, I'll go down the road and I'll be doing a motovlog, and then I'll get home to pull the footage, and you know, I hear this tiny muffled voice through the wind that the mic, or you know, the external mic is picking up. I'm sorry, the internal microphone is picking up. So that's been kind of frustrating, and I've been kind of dealing with that lately. I don't know what the best solution is. So the last couple of times I've recorded, or I've started recording fresh, I'm pulling over, I'm taking off my helmet so that I can look for a tiny little plus sign on the LCD screen of the GoPro to make sure that it is in fact using the right microphone. And that's been kind of frustrating because if you've ever seen my helmet, the camera is mounted pretty low. I can't see it. Even if I were to loosen the screw and tilt it forward, it's outside of my field of view, and I like it that way. It's not a distraction, and I think it gets a pretty decent shot where it's at. So I don't want to mess with that. So it's just like there's an extra step in the process now where I feel like I have to anytime I start the camera fresh in a new recording, I have to like pull my helmet off and double check it and make sure it's recording correctly. Whereas before, you know, the DJI, it worked every time. I never had an issue where the camera malfunctioned. I mean, the microphone is its own issue, but the camera never malfunctioned. So I bring this up not only to let you know that I'm experiencing some technical difficulties from time to time, but because I got a nice slice of humble pie recently. So I was watching a motovlog from, I think it's ACW Moto. He's a truck driver. He does motovlogs with his wife. And in this particular motovlog, he was talking about how he wasn't sure how he felt about doing batch recording, because he felt like a piece of him felt like maybe it wasn't genuine, or like he wasn't being entirely honest with his audience, and he didn't want to be perceived that way. So, you know, I left a comment explaining my viewpoint on batch recording, because I do it all the time. I don't know when I'll be able to get out for a ride, so when I do, I try to record as much as possible. Sometimes that's one motovlog, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three. Hey, look at that, a carnival. So anyway, I'm a big fan of batch recording because it takes away most of the stress of motovlogging for me. I have enough of a backlog right now that there is just no concern of running out of content in the next month. So if I can't get out because it's raining or something is going on in my life, I never feel like I'm pressured to get out there and record an episode just so that I have something for this week. So as I said, big fan of batch recording. I don't think it is dishonest. I mean, as long as you're not talking about current events, it really shouldn't matter. You know, that the content shouldn't get old. You know, again, unless you're talking about something that's relevant. And when that does happen, I just shuffle my schedules. I just shuffle my YouTube schedule around because I have a bunch of content already scheduled, and I just move that one up so that it's more relevant, or, you know, so that it's more timely. So anyway, the part where I put my foot in my mouth. So I record this motovlog where I am like singing the praises of how awesome batch recording is. And this one, I don't know, this is probably the third or the fourth motovlog I recorded in this one trip. And I'm talking about how awesome it is. And I get home and the GoPro used the wrong mic. So I lost all of that footage. Because generally when I go out for motovlog, I turn the cameras on, and then basically I'll just start and stop the recording in between episodes. So this one, I won't turn the camera off until I'm done talking, or until it dies, whichever comes first. You know, I'm not like turning it on and off between takes, or between segments, I should say. So I guess when I powered the camera on in the very beginning, it selected the wrong microphone, and then I just proceeded to record episode after episode with the wrong mic. So I felt like a big dummy. I record this big long podcast about how awesome it is and how all motovloggers should do it. And, you know, I learned the hard way that, yeah, batch recording is great, but it does come with its own concerns. If you're not checking your equipment and making sure that everything is running correctly, there is the potential for a big loss, and I experienced that big loss. So I'm enjoying my slice of humble pie right now. So I know that I have a lot of motovloggers that basically my subscriber base is probably made up of 90% or more of the motovlogging community. So if you're watching this, there's a really good chance that you're out there doing the same thing as I am. And I'd like to get your input on batch recording. You know, do you record your motovlogs in batches? Do you have any concerns with it? Do you ever feel like you're being dishonest to your audience by recording, let's say, a month's worth of content over the course of 2 or 3 days? So I thought that would be kind of an interesting thing to have a little discussion about. That's it. Quick and easy podcast. podcast. I have a terrible habit of saying that when what I mean when this is YouTube, it's not a podcast. So, with that said, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you all for watching this short little episode of the Walt in PA YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. If you do, don't forget to click on that notification bell. That'll let you know when new content is uploaded to my channel. So as always, thank you for watching, ride safe, and I will catch you in the next one.